Don't treat ChatGPT like you do Google. If you do, and many of us do because that's what we've been used to for years, right? If you talk to it like Google, you will get poor results.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Oh, holy crap, it's hot in here. I just realized as I hit record that I have been in this room for, golly, more than 7 hours today, and it's warm. Welcome to the program, everybody. Dustin Harris hanging out with you. I want to address something that has come up a lot lately. It's something that I've kind of addressed in the past, but not really as forward thinking as I want to today. First, want to pause and remind you of our great sponsors, of course, one of them being Spark. Spark is the ability to put information into your report flawlessly. You can find out more by going to spark4appraisers.com. I learned recently you could go to spark4appraisers.com, but officially it's spark, F-O-R, appraisers.com. And of course, OREP is my E&O of choice. Should be yours as well. OREP.org is where you find out more. Again, OREP.org. Okay, I want to, yes, we're going to talk about AI again today. I don't know of anybody in the appraisal world that is talking about AI more than I am. Certainly there are appraisers out there who are talking about it, but I'm pretty big on the whole AI thing. I'm kind of dyed in the wool of the idea of using technology to assist us. It's kind of the process that I've always taught and used as a mentor and used for my own success, right? I've talked for years about the three-legged stool to success, and that includes technology, i.e. AI, right? People, human resources, and of course, systems to put it all together. So I'm already prone to be a big advocate for AI. And folks, I've been using it since about 2 weeks after ChatGPT came out. I think it was the very end of November. And then I started using it 2 weeks later, the first part of December, and I have learned a great deal. I would say in general, I spend, 5 to 10 hours a week on ChatGPT or similar AIs. I've tried some other AIs out there, some image creation AIs and some other wannabe ChatGPTs, and some of them have their benefits and the drawbacks, but not just for my personal life, which I use quite a bit, right? But also for my appraisal world as well, both in business planning and report writing themselves, okay? And so what I mean by that is I am using AI and ChatGPT specifically on pretty much every appraisal that I do now. Okay, now I know some people are going to gasp and go, "You crazy?" And that's really what I want to address today, right? Some of the critics have come out and mostly privately, sometimes publicly, but mostly privately. Come on, guys. I mean, I don't mind private messages, but let's have a conversation. I'm not afraid to have a conversation publicly. Maybe some people feel like they're doing me a favor by sending me a private message. I don't want to call you out publicly, folks. I want to have this conversation out loud. I want to, and here's the other thing that I find is interesting is when this comes up, and maybe I'm just egotistical, but I don't think so. They won't even say by name who I am, but they are very clearly, again, maybe I'm just reading too much into it, right? But very clearly, it seems to me that they are referring to things that I've taught, if not me directly, okay? Folks, I don't care if you call me out. I really don't. Now, be nice. Right? Be kind, but let's have a conversation. First of all, I would never, ever, ever say that I'm wrong and right and you're wrong. Okay. I have learned throughout my life to understand that I don't know what I don't know. And I am I know you should never call yourself humble because that's a dead giveaway that you're not. But I'm humble enough to know that I don't know everything. Okay. And I am willing to be taught and I'm willing to learn, but have a conversation with me. That being said, okay, that's kind of off in the weeds. I get a lot of private messages from people who are downright angry at me for what they call promoting AI in the appraisal world. Okay. And I get it, folks. First of all, I'm not promoting. I call it as I see it. I've never been one to hold back information. If I'm going to be a coach and a mentor, I'm going to tell you how I feel, right? I'm going to be very, very blunt. Now, am I more blunt in a one-on-one conversation with you in a coaching situation than I am on this microphone? Of course I am, right? I understand my audience, okay? And if somebody's going to pay money to spend time with me, I'm probably going to be a little bit more open about my numbers and my philosophies and my practices than I will be on a public microphone. But I've never shied away, even on this microphone, of telling you how I feel. And I am bullish on AI. I'm using it myself. I'm finding that it is working in many ways. But the comments that I get back, and I'm just going to synthesize. I'm not going to read any one comment directly, but they come in basically two forms. Number one, people fearful that AI is going to take over their job. Now, I'm not going to spend time today on this episode addressing that question. I've addressed it multiple times in my blogs and on this podcast. Okay, you can go back, search anytime I've talked about ChatGPT, and you'll find that I've addressed that concern. Okay, and I'm not. I'll give you this much: I'm not as concerned about it as many people are. Okay, I do think ChatGPT AI can take over appraisers' jobs, but only specific appraisers. I'll give you that much. Okay. The other thing that people come at me with is that, and this is done a lot publicly, but privately as well, is they are concerned that AI and specifically ChatGPT is lying to you. Okay. Meaning that there's enough evidence out there that what ChatGPT returns as, I'm going to call them results, is wrong, that it is a danger to appraisers to trust the data. Now, I'm going to say something that might surprise you. I agree. We shouldn't trust the data. I'm going to tell you more about what I mean by that in just a moment. But first, I want to remind you that we're sponsored by a couple of great companies. One of them, my E&O company. Folks, I've used a lot of companies out there in the past, and I prefer to work not only with a broker who can shop my situation around to different E&O carriers, but a broker who cares about me, the appraiser. Now, I know that sounds generic, and I know that sounds like an ad, and I guess it is. But folks, it's an ad with meaning behind it. These people care about you. They are there to help you, support you, not to grab money from your pockets. Their name is OREP, OREP Insurance, and you can find out more by going to orep.org. Of course, the other great company here is invented by appraisers for appraisers. And the company is Spark for Appraisers. Brandon, Kyle, great people, great appraisers who said, you know what, I'm tired of doing everything by hand. Let's create a program that will take the data from your tax records and your MLS and plug it directly into your report and give you some charts and graphs and tell you what's kind of going on in the market at the same time. What a cool product. You should be using it on a daily basis, as I am. Spark4appraisers.com. Again, spark4appraisers.com. All right, folks, welcome back to the program. Trying to address briefly, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail today, but trying to address briefly the concerns that some of my fellow appraisers have about ChatGPT. Specifically, I'm not going to focus on this one today, but mentioned before the break is many appraisers are concerned that I'm promoting AI, and by doing so, I'm getting rid of appraisers' jobs. I've addressed that in the past. I don't think that's going on. AI is going to happen whether or not we like it or not. Okay. My goal is to harness the technology of AI to enhance our jobs, not to deplete them. Okay. But the other big concern that many have, and it's a valid concern. In fact, I'm going to set this up by telling you a story. My wife has been a bit hesitant on the AI thing. Not that she's been hesitating, but she's certainly not embraced it as quickly as I have. I first told her about AI and ChatGPT in January, the January after it came out. So it came out in November. I'm not giving you the year because I can't remember what year was. I want to say it's 2021. But it came out in November. I started using it in December. I showed her what it could do in January. And she thought it was cool. But of course, came with a healthy dose of skepticism and concern. And to her credit, she should, right? This is a new technology that has some scary elements about it. Okay. Over the years, my wife has seen how it has enhanced my life. At first, she was opposed to it. Then she was kind of, mocking it a little bit. Oh, did you get that from ChatGPT? That we've been married almost 30 years, so we can do that. And I love her. But recently has embraced it so much that she now has her own paid account finally. And she came to me the other night. She said, I'm really getting sick and tired of ChatGPT. And I said, okay, what's up? Talk to me. She goes, it's lying to me all the time. I said, really? And she goes, yeah. And she gave me a couple of examples. Now, one of them had to do with images. She was trying to get a certain image, and it kept returning the wrong image. And she kept saying, that's wrong. I need you to do this. And it would come back and say, oh, I'm so sorry. And it would return a different image. And she'd be like, it's the same damn image. My wife doesn't swear. So she said, it's the same image. She might have said, darn. And ChatGPT would come back and do it over. She said, I tried this almost 20 times and it wouldn't. And it finally timed out. I used the program too much, and I had used up my credits for the block of time. Well, I was at work the next day, and I tried the same thing. I knew what she wanted, and the very first thing that came back was wrong. And then I corrected myself, and the second thing came back was correct. And then I tried it again, a little bit different image, but it was still correct. And I sent her both images. And of course, she said, how did you do that? She immediately emailed me back, how did you do that? You got to teach me how to do that. Well, set that aside for a second. She also said that sometimes when she's, and by the way, my wife teaches teachers. Okay, she's a coach for teachers. And so she was putting together some lesson plans, and she needed some quotes about a certain thing. I don't know what it was, but she said that ChatGPT frankly just made up quotes and attributed to people who never said them. And I challenged her a little bit, and sure enough, it was true. So, folks, first of all, this is a known thing about ChatGPT. Okay, it's called hallucination, and it happens less and less as it gets better and better. Especially in the beginning, it was a big deal. It's still kind of a big deal, right? You got to watch out for it. Okay. But here's the thing, folks. There's a couple of solutions to this. And this is one of the things that I've yet to teach my wife, but I'm going to, I've yet to mansplain them to my wife. That's how that came out. She asked for it. She wanted to be taught. Okay. But I've yet to have this conversation with my wife, but I can't wait to share with her some of the things I want to share with you today on the podcast. And that is, there are certain things that you can and can't do when it comes to ChatGPT. Okay, so let me give you a couple of helpful hints that might reduce the amount of times that it hallucinates and then it gives you negative or incorrect information. Number one, and probably the most important thing, and this, was the example I gave you with the image, is the way that you ask the question, or as I maybe a better way to put this is, how are you crafting effective prompts? Okay. Don't treat ChatGPT like you do Google. If you do, and many of us do, because that's what we've been used to for years, right? If you talk to it like Google, you will get poor results. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, if you are asking it the same type of question that you're going to put into a Google search, chances are that ChatGPT will not see that the same way that Google does. Okay, so you really have to understand prompt structure. Okay, break down different ways to structure prompts for various appraisal tasks, for example. Okay, so you can do more of a step-by-step approach rather than, analyze this market. Okay, well, that's great, but analyze or explain the market trend in this area for the last 12 months and then analyze its potential impact on property values. Totally different prompt. You see what I did there? Okay. So the way that you ask the question is very, very important. I will give you the example that going back to so my wife was looking for an image to be made. And by the way, ChatGPT is not good at images. It's DALL-E that it uses for images, and it's just not very good. There's better AI out there for image creation. If you're doing a lot of image stuff, I'm not suggesting that ChatGPT be your solution. Okay. But that being said, she was wanting a picture of a woman in a doorless, windowless room that had a light shining on her for purposes of her some class she was teaching. Okay. Well, the problem is if you say, please create an image of a woman in a room that doesn't have any doors and doesn't have any windows, but still has a light on it, you're going to spend 20 different prompts never getting what you want. It will return a window, it will return a door. It won't be a woman. It will just won't be what you want. Okay. So what I did differently is I realized that when you say the word door or window, it reads that and starts to put them in. Okay. It's almost like the old adage that if you say you want to lose weight, right, that your brain only hears weight. Okay. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I've heard. I think, and I could be wrong, I think AI is similar, right? It's going to read keywords and it's going to paint them in. So what I said was, create an image of, and I'm paraphrasing, but create an image of a woman in a doorless, windowless room with a light shining on her. Okay. So what it did was it created an image, but there was still a window on the ceiling, right? So I went back and basically just revised my prompt, okay, and said, remove the window on the ceiling. Okay. Instead of going back and doing the whole thing over again, I was just refining. And that would be my second advice. Okay. First of all, be careful how you structure your prompts. But secondly, don't forget that this is a conversation, meaning you can ask additional questions. You can ask it for clarification. You can ask it to fact check itself. Folks, when you see something that comes up and you think, is that right? If it doesn't feel right, ask it for references and then click on them. Don't just trust it. I've had this happen before. It's told me something. Let's call it a quote. Okay. And I'm like, Thomas Jefferson never said that. Like, where did you get that from? And it will say, oh, from here. And it gave me a source. And you could first say, okay, great. It gave me a source. It must be true. Folks, click on the source. Okay. I actually had this experience this morning. So someone had reached out to me and they had wanted the reference that had changed the way that Fannie Mae sees a final appraisal inspection to where you can now use a third party for that inspection. Okay, some of you are going, what? Yeah, it happened. They wanted the reference for that. So I asked it, and I thought it was an FHA thing. So I asked it for FHA, and it gave me the 4000.1. I'm like, no, that's not what I need. I need the specific document that is giving permit. Well, I realized finally I was asking the wrong thing, that it was Fannie Mae that had made the change. So I asked for that, and then it gave me a reference. When I clicked on the reference, it had nothing at all to do with the question. And so I went back and I said, that reference has nothing to do with your answer. Please give me the reference that's specific to your answer. And guess what? It did. And it was there, and it was true, and it was accurate. But don't just trust that it gives you a reference. Actually go through and look at the reference. Now, some of you are saying, see, Dustin, see, you really expect us to go through that much work? Well, if you could see the amazing things that I'm doing with ChatGPT right now, the answer is not just no or yes, but hell yes. Like, this is well worth it, my friends. Trust me, it is well worth it to spend the time to learn how to use ChatGPT. I am a firm believer that ChatGPT is bigger than any Google ever would be. Okay? It's bigger than the internet. It is more life-altering and life-changing than any of that put together. Right? Folks, you cannot ignore it. There are people out there, and respected people, and I love them to death, but they're saying, see, this is why you can't use ChatGPT for anything in appraisal. See, this is why you can't trust AI. Folks, maybe the way that you're using it is wrong. There is an ethical way to use AI in appraisal, but remember that everything that you put in your report, everything that you sign your name to is on you. Do not blindly trust AI. And yes, take the time to verify. Trust, but verify. Trust, but verify. Okay, it can be a huge tool. It can be an effective tool. It can also be scary when you don't do it right. Thank you for joining me today, folks. It's always a pleasure. And if I can help you with AI or anything else, please reach out to me, the coach at theappraisercoach.com. Go create some value.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.